It Knows started off as Let and Go, and was written, is one of the tougher songs to play on the album.
Very difficult, very frantic vocal parts. Doesn't meander. It's got a very rigid structure. The song doesn't fuck around.
From the word go, bang and rape. Like that was the brief.
I remember just being generally a little tough song to play and being more of a left-hand song, which was a little different and kind of a change for me as a guitar player.
Aditya came into the studio with the song, and we knew that it's going to be very difficult putting together vocal patterns and then delivering said vocal patterns live.
I think It Knows was one of the songs that kind of took really long to become what it is now, and even it went to kind of changes even during the production stage of the song, which is kind of very unlikely for us, because we kind of like to figure out the songs completely and take them to the studio and kind of work on getting that onto tape.
So It Knows is another prime example of Amitya's legato kida. He will insist on writing the most difficult riff he can think of using his techniques.
I will always remember It Knows as probably like Dear Name would be that song for me before. It was fast and relentless.
It's a bitch of a riff, that first riff. I don't know how he came up with it.
I think looking back at it, I feel like it was, I think during a period I was probably listening to a lot of technical death metal or something really heavy and really fast, and somewhere I think that's where it kind of germinated, and it was a period when I think I was working on 2 songs together.
So what I really liked about It Knows is how the outro of the song translated from what the idea started off to, and how we basically went about doing that. So it was this really intricate tom section that we had come up with, a part with funny changes with the and there was a long pause in between after that. How that part just panned out was very simple. Like it was hard for everyone to keep time in the jam. I just said, man, when I hit the cymbal, after I'm playing the toms, launch into the next part, and in between I'll fill up the gaps. And I love how that has translated onto the album. That's a part I can honestly say I don't think I would have written before. I've not thought of using drums and percussion that way before, and that was a first for me.
The vocal patterns and the story of what is now called It Knows, it's been changed completely.
I love the fact that the original story was something, the lyrical content was completely different, and then Sanit said, fuck it, I hate the story, I hate the lyrics, I'm rewriting the story, I'm rewriting the lyrics. And
then one day I read this article on the internet about this British doctor, this English doctor who realizes that he has a pneumocyte in his jaw, and how he created an incision and he literally pulled it out. So that got me thinking. That was the beginning of the story. I thought about that and how a parasite would manifest into a love affair and then genocide. So
it's got that feel, you know, just very, very evil vibe, but it's I can only describe it as slithering. It's almost like a snake. And then when you read the story about the parasite, it fits in perfectly. It just fits in perfectly to the mood of the story and the parasite itself. It's like the song is coming out of the parasite.
That section, it's a little tricky timing wise, and I tried to figure out ways to maybe incorporate some vocals on that section, maybe the time part, but then we did something very interesting. We took 2 lines from the story. And we put it in the meter of the part, and it came out really, really well.
Full marks to Sanit for thinking up of all the things of how the vocal patterns need to be and why the voices need to be a certain way. And he's the one who asked me to make that mouth sound.
Just something like that. He's added those, and just the overall treatment on that song, that or the overall work that Vinay's put in on the song, it's just very, very creepy, very creepy, and it's very effective.
I think the joy of It Knows is that the lush part was always, it's always been my favorite part of the song, but then having the textures, I think Ishan and Aditya played the textures on that part, that just elevated the song to a new level for me. And it's great in the story itself, because it's that professing your love, but knowing that you will do what it takes to ensure that your love doesn't die. That part of the story is where I see that lush part fitting in. It's beautiful. It's my favorite, like one of the favorite parts in a BM song.
I think It Knows is the most metal song on the album, in my opinion. It's got more blast beats than any other song. It's got some difficult ass techniques. It's got a lot of vocal interplay.
The end of this song is a relentless blast beat, like the absolute end of the song.
And the whole ta 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 ta.
I remember complaining so much while writing the part.
It's just these bursts of guitar, and there's a constant drum going on throughout. And as the song kept progressing, the song kept becoming longer, and parts that Rahul didn't like kept being repeated again and again.
I made the part, but I would complain. I would whine about it every single time I played it. I would just about get to the end of the song, almost get it right, and just complain to everyone in the band, like, man, why do we write this part? Why do we write this part? Why do we do this?
Once again, this was the song which I think took a lot out of Rahul in the writing phase itself and the practicing phase itself. I'm pretty sure he kind of nailed it by the time he was ready to give his takes.
But I paid special attention to getting this blast right, because I knew this was going to be a hard part in the studio. And it's nice because I tracked that part and I heard myself back. And it sounded like what I wanted it to sound like. It didn't sound like a compromise. It didn't sound like, yeah, actually I was going for this. This also sounds nice, let's go with this. This actually surpassed my expectations. I didn't think it would sound this good.
It Knows is the artist formerly known as Let and Go.
Common, general Indian attitude, Indian male attitude. It's in our genes to let and go.